and this is a good time to get into it. I got the Kobe Bryant GOAT shirt on. Like, Michael Jordan, if you want to evaluate basketball, let's start with this. Basketball has a rich and long history. You know, I said I'm going to make this short. I'm going to make this short. Just follow along. Basketball has a long, rich history. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, Wilt Chamberlain's, Bill Russell's, Jerry West's, Elgin Baylor's. You know, we can run through all the eras, Pete Maravich's, Larry Bird's, Magic Johnson's, and they all played prior to Michael Jordan coming along. When Larry Bird said Michael Jordan was God disguised as Michael Jordan, in terms of basketball, that is absolute fact. Okay, so the greatest player of all time starts with Michael Jordan. Okay, Michael Jordan is the god of basketball. Like, anything anybody thought they were doing with the sport before he came along, like, he showed them what they were really trying to do. Like, he showed people how to really, you know, spread the wings and, like, believe they can fly. So, he's the originator of what GOAT means, the embodiment of a living GOAT. If you weren't alive when Jordan played, I can't describe it, but when the finals came up and Jordan was there, and he's got his Saturday morning cartoon with Bo Jackson and Wayne Gretzky, and he's on the Wheaties commercial, and he's like, he's the king of the world, Michael Jackson videos, but he's also like never losing in 6 straight finals. Like, and I can't describe that era to you, but he was just the man, unanimously the man. And he showed everyone how to be the man. So you can't start a conversation without Michael Jordan. So when greatest player comes up and they're like, oh, well, what about Kareem? What about Bill Russell? It's like, no, Michael Jordan erased that. You start with Michael Jordan. Yes, of course they matter. Let's not, like, be ridiculous. Does Bill Russell, does Kareem matter? Of course, let's not be ridiculous. But by the time Michael Jordan was peaking, there was no doubt, right? So, you know, you gotta come after Mike if you want to be the best. You gotta see what Mike did, and you gotta top that if you want to be the best, right? So that's step one. Michael Jordan is the creator. Now, Kobe Bryant, if Michael Jordan's God, is the basketball Jesus, and now and forever, Kobe Bryant will be basketball Jesus. He died for our sins. You know, in the world of criticism and whatever, like, if you don't understand what Kobe Bryant went through and the lack of appreciation he got in life, and use that to dictate how you criticize people who are living, you know, give roses while they're here. When I say he died for our sins, like, I really hope Russell Westbrook gets his roses while he's here. I really hope Kyrie gets his roses while he's here. You gotta start looking at things differently, right? So, but Kobe connects to the history of it all. Like, a little kid seeing Magic, Larry, and then Mike, and like stop everything. Like, when he saw Mike, he had to be that. He had to be better than that, right? And that's what I mean with Mike being the creator, the originator. Like, that was the mountaintop. Period. Like, nobody was trying to be Kareem. Nobody's trying to be like Mike was the mountaintop, and Kobe set his sights on the mountaintop. Now, Kobe gave us a way to evaluate athletes for the rest of time with the Mamba Mentality. And there's a reason for that, because if you set your sights on the mountaintop, right, it's a hard road, and you gotta work day and night. You can't have friends. You can't, you know, all your time, all your energy, all your emotion, all your dedication into this one thing. And, like, to be honest, that all the insiders will tell you that, like, nobody had that more than Kobe. Nobody worked harder day and night on his craft, and more importantly, nobody picked the brains of the other greats more than Kobe Bryant. He had Bill Russell on the phone. He had Mike on the phone. He had all these. So we know that nobody investigated. You know, I was listening to this Buddha monk, and he's just talking about how we should investigate life. Nobody investigated the sport of basketball more than Kobe, right? So Kobe connects to the past, right? He connected to all these great players. He connects to the future, right? Because he went toe to toe with Mike, and in his eyes, he got to measure up. And then he got that new era with LeBron and the Steph Currys and the Westbrooks and the Kyries and the Dwayne Wades, and he got to measure up. And then he got to pass his knowledge along. And say what you want, when LeBron James was in high school, he had Kobe posters on his wall. Everybody rocked with the young Kobe. Okay, Kobe connected with, he showed people that in real time in an All-Star game, try and be better than as an 18-year-old kid. That takes something, right? And we take that for granted. It's easy to criticize a player and say, the way we should look at it is if a player's not living up to their potential, if their ego's hurting their team. But there are levels. People will say, oh, Kobe's ego's hurting his team, but in Kobe's eyes, if you're working day in and day out, if this is your life 24 hours a day, and others aren't doing the same, if it comes down to a final shot, did you take that shot 20,000 times the week before? So, what stake do you really have to take it? Sometimes, great players take liberties, but all I'm saying is, you just look at Mike and you look at Kobe and what they brought to the game, how they passed it on, the players Kobe was working with. And the way evolution works, it starts with Mike, right? Kobe duplicated that. Can LeBron be better? Absolutely. LeBron's career could already be better. Okay, right? But God could create the world. Jesus could show people how to live in it. And that doesn't make either of them the greatest man on earth. LeBron could be the greatest man on earth. Or that could be Steph Curry or someone else down the line. But it doesn't take away from what these greats bring to the game and how we look at it. And this is all just to say, the one industry where we have to tell people they're not good, they're not enough, they don't measure up. In football, Tom Brady's the GOAT, right? We throw our hands up, he's the GOAT. Doesn't matter if rules change, how Dan Marino would have played in today's game, it's just he's the GOAT. Don't ask any questions, right? It's just which is true. Tom Brady is the GOAT. That's a bad comparison, but you understand what I mean? It's the rule changes and the debates, and people just don't even They really didn't have to play that game when he was competing with Peyton Manning in the prime, before. They were all allowed to be great. To this day, Peyton Manning's my favorite. He was a coach and player. Yes, I've seen what Tom Brady has done, and I'll put Peyton Manning up there with anybody, because that's how you should look at sports. It's not about wins and losses, and it's about you're not gonna tell me you could find 5 players in the history of the NFL who ever worked harder than Peyton Manning, prepared more, put more into gave more to the game. In the past, in the wake of losing DMX, there was a quote that he was saying of have I given something that if taken away you would have missed it, right? And it's what did Tom Brady give to the game? What did Peyton give to the game? What did Drew Brees give to the game, for that matter? What do they give us in terms of years and dedication to the game? And that goes for Russell Westbrook, for Kyrie Irving, for all of James Harden, for Chris Paul. Have you seen this isn't going to go over 15 minutes, but have you seen the season that Chris Paul is having? Yes, he does not have a championship, but I haven't seen 3 point guards in my lifetime better than Chris Paul. I have not. People who have never seen John Stockton play, Chris Paul would hold his water against people who never saw Gary Payton play, I mean, Chris Paul is, and this is what I mean, championships don't define players' work ethic, Mamba mentality, you know, how teammates and other players perceive them. These things matter, and it's so important. I'm so happy Russ said what he said, because, you know, constantly saying, oh, well, has LeBron caught Mike now? And it's like, what are you talking about, though? It's like, LeBron can keep running. So it's a silly conversation. We're not appreciating the moment. And in the meantime of talking about, oh, is LeBron caught a Mike or whatever, we're just missing Zion's, Luka Doncic. Like, if you don't understand the context of history that Luka Doncic is in right now, it's like these are all storylines that you could just be telling simultaneously. Like, because of the contributions of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady and whatever, this kid in Europe grew up to be Luka Magic. Because he is next in a big way. You know, and that goes for John Moran, LaMelo, and Zion Williamson, and just there's so much talent. And instead, we play these mundane games of who's not good enough. Right? And that sells. We have to do that too. But we have to do that in context of understanding that there are levels. Michael Jordan had to lose to Isaiah Thomas, forge his iron. Kobe Bryant had to lose to the Celtics, come back and say, we got to be tougher. LeBron James had to lose, even with Miami, had to lose to Dallas. Like, it's not easy. Super teams, regardless, it's not easy. So, we just have to, you know, or like my hope would be that people can sort of see things as a blank canvas and people putting their ink to it. And when you look at it that way, it will, you know, change your appreciation for how you watch a sport. It's not just about the win.